Hey folks, I just wanted to let you know about a free online workshop I have available that's called Navigating the Road to Successful Recovery for Your Loved One. This is a 90-minute presentation that's specifically for family members who have a loved one who's being treated for a substance use disorder. And to give you an idea of what my purpose was in making this presentation, it's like if you picture a family dropping their loved one off at treatment, if we could bring them in for a 90-minute educational presentation that specifically focuses on the importance of family engagement, and more specifically letting them know how much of an impact their participation can make in their loved one's treatment. That was my purpose for making this webinar. I set it up in a way so that it's on demand. They can watch this at any time that they want. So again, ideally, I picture the family member on day one of treatment being able to go home, sit down, make some popcorn, watch this webinar. And my purpose, again, is to motivate them, to help them understand that there's things that they can be doing rather than, right away that are within their control, rather than sitting and just waiting for the counselor to call to set up their first family session or waiting for family weekend to come around, that there's things that they can be doing right away. One of the things I say right up front is if you have a loved one in treatment, the clock is ticking and you want to make every second count because discharge will be there before you know it. And again, to sort of encourage, inspire, motivate them to take a proactive role in their loved one's treatment. And so some of the things I cover in this webinar, first of all, I address typical resistance that we see from families, some of the objections they might make for even having to participate. It's not my problem. Why should I have to engage in any of this? How about the quick fix? I let them know that the car repair model is not the best approach. In other words, it's not dropping your loved one off and coming back 3 weeks later expecting them to be all fixed. Again, I say that very nicely and encouragingly and with a positive attitude to help them understand that, again, what they can be doing and to recognize the long-term nature of this recovery process. I addressed the fact that it's not uncommon for a lot of people to be resistant towards treatment in general. I don't trust those rehabs. They're only out to get your money. Success rates are lousy. We talk about all that. And then I go into the meat of the program. Again, 90-minute presentation. I cover a lot of material in here. I break it into what I call 3 strategies that I'm giving them for effective treatment support. The first one has to do with education, the importance of them learning what the clients are learning in treatment for the specific purpose of avoiding some of the gaps where communication becomes a problem. Leveling the conversation and making sure that everybody's on the same page as far as treatment recommendations or even agreeing what it means to have a problem. I know that a lot of you know what I'm talking about when we see sometimes we get sort of this jumbled game of telephone. Treatment team recommends X to the client reports to the family Y as to what the client or what the treatment team is recommending, and the result becomes Z, which is sort of not what the treatment team had initially intended. So again, getting everybody on the same page by helping the families know that they can take active steps right away to start learning things. Second piece of material I give them is on family systems, on boundaries. We talk about the word control and the difference between being in control versus controlling. One theme throughout this webinar, I talk about the paradox of intervention and control. And again, from a very motivating perspective, I let the families know that there are things that are within your control and there's things that you can't control. But the things that are within your control, especially when it comes to your own recovery, the paradox there is that you doing what you need to do to establish your own recovery ends up being the most influential thing you can do to help your loved one achieve that desired goal of successful recovery. Again, from a motivating standpoint and getting families sort of fired up about, yes, I can do this. I also let them know that you getting to that point of your own recovery doesn't have to have anything to do with the progress that the client's making. That's all within your control. Again, the paradox there being you doing that helps the client move forward in their own progress. And then the third piece of strategy I give them has to do with measuring that progress. I use the stages of change. I introduce them to that stages of change model and show them how we can use that as a tool for measuring progress, and more specifically, identifying some of the common pitfalls, some of the common problems that occur. I use the term cracks in the foundation. But when the family is aware of that and they're able to, call the client on that or, report to the treatment team, I don't think that this piece of the foundation is quite in place yet before discharge happens. Again, I let them know how them being engaged in that process can help make sure that we're creating as solid a foundation as possible before discharge occurs. So again, this is a 90-minute presentation. I have it set up on demand, meaning all they have to do is click on the link. You'll see the link here. It's rehabworks.net/webinar-registration. But again, the link is right there. And I'm sharing it here. I know that I'm talking mostly to professionals here, and obviously this is for family members, but my reason for sharing this here is, one, you're certainly welcome, and I invite any professionals to watch this webinar. One, maybe for your own education, you might, hear some little bit different perspectives or some thoughts that I have on family engagement and treatment and how we can use that to improve treatment outcomes. But more specifically, I'm guessing for you to be watching this through the eyes of the family members of clients that you might be working with and looking at this as a possible resource for them. And on that note, if you are connected specifically with a treatment facility and you'd be interested in your family members being able to get this webinar, I have a specific program that I have for facilities that I'm able to give this webinar to you, and you can make sure that all your family members are getting it. So again, you might want to watch this webinar and picture if all your families were being able to watch this on day one of treatment and the impact that might have in your own program. So if you have any other questions, if you have any interest in that, direct message me here or watch the webinar and you can contact me through there. I'd be happy to tell you anything more about this or answer any kind of questions. Hope you find this useful. Thanks a lot.